Hey guys, welcome back to my vlog channel. Today's video is not going to be like a follow me around for the day style vlog. We're doing a sit down video today. I thought I would do a little series on this channel about money and finances. I've already done a couple of videos on this topic. I will link them in the cards as well as in the description box down below if you are interested. One of them was on what I spent in a week, and the other one was how I budget. So I shared with you like my actual spreadsheet that I use to keep track of what I've spent and kind of just, you know, keep an eye on whether or not I'm spending too much basically. So if you haven't seen those and you are interested in money topics, then feel free to go and check those out. But I have a few other ideas on like a similar topic, so I figured like why not just make a little mini series out of it. So feel free to leave me a request if there's something in particular on the topic of money that you'd like me to talk about. But for today's video, I'm going to be talking you through how I organize and manage my bank accounts. So kind of like what goes into which account, how many I've got, which ones are shared with Jonathan, which ones are just mine, all that good stuff. So I hope you enjoy. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get started. First of all, I'm just going to open up my bank account app on my phone. If your bank has an app that you can download and use, I highly recommend it because it's so much easier than, I can't even remember what I was doing before this, but I remember it was not this easy. So I have 5 bank accounts that are mine / shared with Jonathan. And Jonathan has the exact same setup as me. So some of our accounts are shared and then some we have individually, but we both have like the same types of account. So of the 5 accounts that I have, one is an everyday account, one is for rent, one is emergency fund, one is my savings account, and then one is my KiwiSaver. Let's start at the top and I'll talk you through each of them. So my everyday account is where most of my transactions happen. It is the account that I use for pretty much everything. So I get paid into my everyday account from work, from YouTube, and because that is where all of my money comes, my outgoings also start from there as well. So I do have a few automatic payments set up that generally happen the day after I get paid. Some money will go into the rent account, some money will go into the savings account. But my everyday account is just mine. I don't share it with Jonathan. He doesn't have access to any of that money unless I've put it in a different account that we have that's joint, or I've literally transferred it to his account. So we each have our own everyday accounts. He also gets a certain amount of money from the government this year each week because he's studying, so his money goes into his account, my money comes into mine. We don't touch each other's money unless we've transferred it to each other. Then we have our rent account, which is shared between Jonathan and I, so we can both put money in, we can both take money out. Like I said, I do have an automatic payment that pays from my everyday account into my rent account the day after I get paid every fortnight. Last year when Jonathan was working, we split the rent, so we would both put money in, and that was an automatic payment from each of our everyday accounts into the rent account. This year, because Jonathan's not earning, I'm doing all of the rent, but we both still do have access to that account. So for example, if the water bill came through and it was more money than we had in our rent account, Jonathan is just as able to transfer a bit of money in as I am. So although I am paying the rent this year, we both kind of keep an eye on it and we top it up if we need to. Next we have our emergency fund, which actually used to be our saving account. So this is shared between Jonathan and I again. We both have access to it. In the past this has been our one and only savings account. We do have a separate account for savings now because the interest on our emergency fund account is not that high. But it is different from an everyday account. It's just a different type of account. I think it's called an online account, but it'll be called something different depending on what bank you're with. But it does give interest, which our everyday accounts don't, but the interest rate is pretty low. Let me have a look. Yeah, 0.05%. So it's not the sort of account that's going to grow just by leaving your money there, like a little bit, but not really. So basically we just like to keep this account at a certain number. As the name suggests, if we have a situation where we need a bit of extra money, this is the account that we dip out of. But then if we've dipped out of it, then we top it up to the number that we like to keep it at as soon as we can and just kind of leave it. The reason we got this account in the first place, because I know it seems kind of dumb to have like almost like a savings account that doesn't have a good interest rate, but we got it initially because of Evie. I wanted to have a little store of money that I was encouraged not to touch, hence the savings account, but also that I was able to take money out of if I needed to without there being any kind of consequence. With a lot of savings accounts, if you take money out more than like once a month, or even if you take money out at all, there will be a consequence, like they'll charge your account a certain amount. And if I needed to like take Evie to the vets, or if she got sick, you know, more than once in a month, which hasn't happened, but it's totally possible, I didn't want to be penalized for dipping into that account too often. So that is initially why we got that account, and honestly that's like the main reason that we still keep it, is Evie or anything else that comes up that we're not expecting. So for example, in the last month we dipped into it to get our new vacuum cleaner, which was $450, but I'll put that $450 back in when I get paid next, and then it will be back at our like baseline amount. Not that a vacuum cleaner is an emergency. I guess emergency is not the right word. It's just an account that's there for like things that we need that we don't necessarily have the money for right now. It's just like our reserve money. It's there if we need it. So then we have our KiwiSaver account, which is our proper savings account. I used to have one of these when I was at school that was obviously just mine, so I kind of knew how they worked already. But Jonathan and I decided to set one up together. So this is another joint account that we both have access to. But with the KiwiSaver account, this is one where if you take money out once in a month, you lose your bonus interest for the month. And I'm pretty sure you actually can't take money out a second time in a month. Or if you do, there's like a $5 fee, something like that, that really discourages you from taking money out. So anyway, this is where we put all of our extra money, because this is the account where we get a good interest rate. So the base interest rate is 0.05%, which is the same as our other account, but then we also get the bonus interest, which is 0.5. So in total we get 0.55% as long as we don't touch the money that's in there. This is the account that we use when we're saving up for something big. Like this is where we put all our money when we were saving to go to Japan. This is where we had money when we were saving up for a car. That's going back a couple of years now, but even if we're not saving up for anything in particular, this is where our money goes if we don't need it. If our emergency fund is under what it should be, money goes into there first, because we can take money out of there without costing us anything. But if that is at the amount we like to keep it at, any extra money that we don't need will go into our KiwiSaver. The longer that it's in there, the more interest you get and the more basically free money. So it's always good to put as much as we can into KiwiSaver, but at the same time not too much that we're gonna need it back, because we get charged if we take the money out. And then my final account that I have is my KiwiSaver account. If you're from New Zealand, you'll know exactly what this is, but if you're not, it's basically our superannuation or retirement savings. Every New Zealander that joins KiwiSaver gets $1,000 from the government that goes straight into that account. We can't touch it. It is a retirement fund, so you have no access to that money. And then if you're working, every time you get paid, some of your money will go into KiwiSaver. It goes straight there. It doesn't come through your account at all. You never see it. That is all organized by your employer, who does it all for you as long as you filled out the right form. You choose the percentage of your income that goes into KiwiSaver. I think it's like 3%, 5 or 7. I'm on 3%, which honestly I need to change because I can afford to be paying more into KiwiSaver, but I was on 3% from when I was only working part-time because I wanted to be keeping as much of my money as I could because I wasn't earning a lot. Every dollar that comes out of your pay that goes into KiwiSaver, your employer has to match. So for example, if they took, I mean, I don't even know how much actual money I lose every week, but if say 100 came out of my pay for the week or for the fortnight or whatever, then my employer also has to pay $100 into my KiwiSaver account. And then every year the government gives you money into that account as well based on how much you've put in over the year. So it's a pretty good scheme because anything that you put in gets more than doubled by other people just giving you free money. You do get access to it before you retire though. You can access most of your money in KiwiSaver when you go to buy your first house. So when you're ready for your first house, you can have access to all of the money that's in your KiwiSaver except for the $1,000 that the government gave you right at the start. So for example, right now in my KiwiSaver account I have approximately, anyway, $9,000. So if I wanted to buy a house right now, I would have access to $8,000 of that. KiwiSaver accounts are totally individual. They're not shared with anybody else. So Jonathan and I have one each. I think his actually has more in it than mine, which is a bit surprising because I've been working a lot longer than he has. But I think it's just that year that I was studying and he was still working. Hopefully this year will even it out. But yeah, those are all of the accounts that I have. I just thought it would be quite interesting to do this video and also talk about like which accounts are shared, because I find it really interesting talking to my friends, especially like my friends who are married or have a long-term partner, because they often do things quite differently. Like we have a friend who does everything the opposite way from us. So like their savings accounts are separate, but their spending accounts are joined, which I think is a really interesting way of doing things. I don't think that would work for Jonathan and I. It might work for him, but it wouldn't work for me, because the way that I view money is like if I earned it, I am allowed to spend it. But I think if our spending account was joined, what if we were both shopping at the same time but like separately, and we both looked at our spending account and saw that there was $100 in there? So we both went to buy something that cost $100, and then we'd be $100 in overdraft because we would have spent $200 total. Or like if I checked in the morning and I was like, cool, there's enough for me to go and buy whatever, but then Jonathan spent it during the day, and then by the time I went to go and buy whatever it was that I wanted to buy, the money's not there anymore. I just don't think that it would work for me. But the way that we do things works really well for us, and this is how we've been organizing things for ages now. I don't know. Jonathan was with a different bank when we got together, but I think after we got married, or even before we got married, I think he switched over to my bank. They just had better rates than his one. I think our first joint account was the emergency fund, which like I said used to be our savings account. So we've had that, oh gosh, I don't know. Does it say? Whoa, we've had that account since 2014, 6 years. And then we got our Serious Saver account, and we've had that one since 2016, so we've only had that one for 4 years. I think we got that just before we started saving for our first car. And then our rent account is the most recent because we only moved out of Jonathan's family's home at the start of last year, so we would have set that up probably in January last year. 3 joint accounts, 1 KiwiSaver, and 1 individual everyday spending account. And that is how we do things. I would love it if you left me a comment letting me know how you do things. How many accounts do you have? Are any of them joined? Do you have just individual accounts? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, thank you for watching today's video. Don't forget to leave any requests if you have any suggestions for other videos on this topic, because apparently I've discovered I love talking about money. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again later.